Welcome to a very special episode today. Today we're in Silverstone at Lunaz to celebrate the 50,000 subscriber count. So for this very special event, I wanted to visit a very special location where they don't just convert vehicle to electric, they remanufacture the most iconic classic cars to fully electric beauties. So let's visit those guys. All right, I'm here today to welcome us is Patrick to show us everything for this exclusive video. That's the first time we have access to not only the vehicles, the way your designing team and the workshop team build those fantastic vehicles, but also where you produce your own battery packs. So I just can't wait to see that. Yeah.
Well, welcome to Lunaz. So for those of you not aware, we're Lunaz, we're based at Silverstone, and we remaster a series of iconic British cars. It's 5 platforms in total. This is not just a conversion, this is a complete reimagining of these vehicles. We take donor vehicles, as we like to call them, often in disheveled condition, so there's a really nice regenerative story here as well. And we strip them and we take them through an exhaustive restoration and upgrading process. And an integral part of that is converting them to a modern state-of-the-art electric powertrain. And one of the real benefits of that is greater performance, greater refinement, and greater sophistication. Fundamentally, people buy cars because they like to drive them. And we're taking cars of an era where the world has changed a lot since in terms of how the world's set up, but also our expectations. So by allowing 50, 60, 70 years of innovation in between the conception of the cars and now, there's a lot we can do in a tasteful way to enhance these vehicles, that make them relevant either for big collectors who like diversity, but interestingly, there's a lot of affluent capital that don't buy classic cars because of the stereotypes which give them anxiety, and we overcome that. So for us, this is a very tailored, very premium, very considered experience. And what I'd like to show you next is our design studio, because that's a huge part of this. Every single vehicle is a one-of-one custom design, tailored and customized to the client's desires.
All right, let's design our own vehicle today then.
So this is our design and engineering studio, and those are 2 concepts I think it's really important to talk about. At the heart of Lunaz is design and engineering. Okay. So we care very deeply about the aesthetic conception, but also the functional conception of the vehicles that we elevate. But fundamentally, the car has to perform with a tremendous amount of integrity. So the engineering work that goes into conceiving and designing our platforms is tremendous in terms of the drawings and schematics we create from a mechanical and electrical side. Everything is contained and drawn so our team know exactly what they're producing. Now, one of the fun and exciting parts of Lunaz is a tremendous amount of customization that we offer. So this is the design studio. Now, we have a global client base. So many of our clients, even international, come to the factory for a number of reasons. 1, potentially to see their donor car when it's come in and it's been stripped, but 2, to have a very visceral and personal experience with the design process. So what we've done at Lunaz is we've looked at every single vehicle. Now, the vehicles we work on are all slightly different, and therefore the design journey and the design language we work with is also different. We have what I call the pure classics, so that is the cars from the 50s and 60s, the Rolls-Royce and Bentleys, the Aston Martins and Jaguars. We tend to be a little bit more classic with the way in which we go about the designs on those. The Range Rovers being a modern classic, we find our clients and ourselves, these cross much more over into a resto mod-like experience. Okay. Fundamentally, we consider we do resto mod all our vehicles, but there's more nuance to it than just a standard resto mod. And it is our Range Rovers that are probably the most contemporary and most, I'd say, outlandish in terms of the way we conceive the designs. What we've done at Lunaz, again, is deeply consider all the material facets of the vehicle. So we've created what we call our signature palette. And what's for us, because we're selling to a broad church of clients, we wanted to make our pricing and the whole experience very transparent and very accessible. So our price is actually all-inclusive for a fully restored, upgraded and designed vehicle to a certain spec level, which we call the signature specification. For each vehicle, our design team has sort of obsessively considered what colours and principle and tones work with the vehicle in terms of the body shape. And we've created these scaled 3D speed forms that then we actually express our bespoke colour palette. So we actually have created all these colours, they're custom mixed for Lunaz. So they are unique colours, and that comes back into the rarity of what we do. This is all about, we're creating assets, it's rolling art, and it's all about scarcity and individuality and rarity. And this is at the essence of that. So we get to know our clients and we get to understand what makes them tick. And it may be there's a certain sentiment to the way they're thinking about the design. They may have certain philosophies around materiality. Some people don't want to use leather. Some people want to very much use leather. And so we've crafted our material palette and our design experience to really reflect that. So our designers get to know the clients and you. And some of our clients are very confident and very assured, and some have no idea. And then what we do is we take on this information and then we start to create design boxes and schemes that actually allow us to showcase for all the key material facets of the vehicle how a scheme might come to life. So typically we're looking at carpet, we're looking at wood, a really nice essence of the wood in our vehicles. Typically, we use the original wood set the vehicle came with.
Okay.
We strip the veneer, we base the new veneer on, and then we have a choice of either a gloss or a satin lacquer. And we're finding that actually satin lacquer is something that we've really, pioneered, and it's becoming a sort of signature of our cars because it respects the original feeling of the wood but gives it a more contemporary, more tactile feel. So we will create these design boxes in different themes and schemes. Often they will follow a lot of the feedback we've had from the client, and often we'll create one wild card as well, because depending on the client, we want them to feel that they are getting real value for their experience. And this then means we can operate on a global level, because what we do, we can send these design boxes anywhere in the world, and they're very, very tactile. We obviously use video calling, etc., to push this forward. And then finally, when the client has decided on what scheme they think they want, we will create a speed form. Okay. So we will actually spray the car on the speed form, so we can send it to you, and it comes on a wooden plinth. So through your 18 to 24 month build, depending on the condition of the vehicle and the vehicle you're doing, the model, you will actually have your design box and your speed form on a wooden plinth as a memento for the build itself. So it's a very considered, very premium, very tailored experience. That means that no car is ever the same. And then we do go to levels where we have clients that want something very unique. So on top of our signature spec, we can look at further custom paints. We're doing a lot of experimentation now around woods. Traditionally, classic cars have had dark woods. We're starting to look more at different wood finishes. We can do inlays for, if it's for a company car, we do a lot with hotels. We can do branding, we can do initials, we can do embroidery. We've done a lot of our clients are cigar smokers, so we do accessories around that, whether it's custom ashtrays, which magnetise to the tray tables. We've done a 200 cigar humidor for a boot of a car, made from a Hermes trunk. We're putting a safe in the back of a car for a client who takes valuables. So on top of the already very high signature tailored spec, the sky's the limit in terms of custom personalisation.
Now that we've seen how you design or create your vehicle, let's see them being created.
Absolutely. So I'll take you onto what I call the toy shop, which is the shop floor. So this is where all our customer cars are in build. It's worth noting that every single car here is spoken for. So these are vehicles that have clients. So welcome to what I call the toy shop. This is the shop floor. Every vehicle we have in here is spoken for with the client. They're either in for servicing or they're in full build. What does full build mean? Well, we take the donor car. So we either, for a turnkey experience, source an original car, typically in the country of registration where the car will go back. And we're looking for cars typically that are in need of work. And amazingly, there's a lot more classic cars that are in that state than you realise. Then sometimes, actually, due to the country we're buying in or the particular body of the car the client wants, we maybe don't have so much choice. We have to take what's available on the market. We take the vehicle, we put it through an exhaustive rebuild process. This is a car that's actually an XK140, which has had the body and the chassis restored. So we strip the car, we blast it to understand where the frailties in the body and chassis are, and we go through a meticulous bare metal nut and bolt restoration. The car is then painted, so after that process, that's when the design process we've gone through actually starts to come to life. And this is a really lovely example. So this is a Phantom V. This is a park ward car, so a particular style of body. You'll see in here that the car is as new. It's been completely rebuilt. We use a lot of the original style componentry to give a real authentic look to the car. Here we have the subframe where the motor is mounted, which is really important, so we can work with the original chassis mounting. The original radiator with two radiators that assist with cooling the car, but you can see a fastidious amount of work goes into remastering these vehicles. It's very adamant we're not a conversion business. We are remastering these vehicles. So I call this the jewellery. This is all the chrome that's been re-chromed.
But going back to your point, I think it's a key point that you do not touch the chassis. You restore the original chassis bodywork,
exactly.
But you don't cut or
exactly.
weld anything.
No, we are working with a vehicle like this. We are working with the original chassis and then often using subframes, etc., to work with that. So that makes, in principle, the restoration reversible.
Okay.
As well, on a vehicle like this. We have an amazing array of obviously different models. This is a S3 Bentley, which is just going through its low voltage and high voltage commissioning.
Can we approach it and see
the
battery being
sure, absolutely. The bay is clear, so I've just checked we can go in. So to talk more about the infrastructure of the car, we're removing three major components and replacing them with an engine for the front traction battery, gearbox for the motor. So in this vehicle, its motor is sat in a subframe just under there, and then the fuel tank is replaced with a rear traction battery. On average, total energy content on our cars in and around 80 kilowatt hours of gross energy content. So this car now is having all its low voltage elements tested. We designed completely new wiring looms, and the next stage will be to turn it on and go high voltage live, and then the car will go through a testing process. This is a very rare, this is a one-of-one special we've done for a Bentley R-Type that's utilised a lot of the technology from our S-Series, but still been tailored for this particular vehicle.
This is a one-off, but it's not something you will typically offer.
It's not part of our core collection, but it's something we did for a very special client. This is an LSE, as you see here. So this is a very
the long wheelbase Range Rover makes perfect sense to be converted to electric and become a limousine.
Yeah, and we are very delicate with the amount of power we put in. You could put more power than we do in, but we're thinking a lot about weight distribution. It's really important to reiterate, we have spent thousands of hours and a tremendous amount of money investing in creating our own engineered platforms for these cars. So this isn't taking kits off shelves or anything like that. This is a very particular style of, I suppose, resto electrification.
That's a perfect term, actually.
Yeah, and for us, that's why you see the level of detail. You know, you're talking about thousands and thousands of hours on these cars. And actually, you know, the electrification, it's a very time-consuming but worthwhile program because we create our own HVPDUs. As you'll see later, we take the battery modules that we get from a very reputable company, and we build the batteries here. Where we've been very lucky as a brand, because we have a sister business that's working on the upcycling of the utility vehicles, we've been able to forge very strong relationships with tier one suppliers. Okay. For a boutique specialist, we have incredible suppliers, probably higher than you would normally expect. And that, again, is testament to our engineers, our business, our brand, and our whole package, and what makes us different.
Speaking about suppliers, are you happy to share who produces your motors, for instance, and also power outputs?
Yeah, so we get our motors from a very reputable Swiss company that does a lot of development motors for OEMs. Our battery cells come from a provider that provides cells for some of the most well-known cars in the market. For us, it was about tapping into products which are proven and tested and tier one, and that percolates through into the quality of our products. I call this a Range Rover Avenue. You'll see you've got a mix of Range Rovers here. You'll see a lot of left-hand drive cars. To reiterate, we're a proper international business. The UK and Europe are big markets for us, but particularly the US is flying for us. You know, we're really connecting what we do, really connects with Middle Eastern and American clients because we're offering rarity, statement, but total modern sophistication and comfort of use. It's a sort of, to us, it's a perfect harmony. We then have our sort of peacock vehicles, as I call them. So this is an amazing Maya Blue Range Rover Classic, which was an original wooden picket conversion. Wow. So it's to really show, again, the sort of the level we're willing to go to. And also, we have clients that are trusting us with very, very special rare cars. And they want to take them and make them more relevant and usable to them.
So that's something we haven't covered. Do typically customers have their own vehicles that they bring to you? Do you source the vehicle for them? What's the typical?
It's a good question. So we have three verticals of clients at Lunaz. We sell to some of the world's most prestigious and celebrated car collectors who love diversity in their collection, and they really connect with engineering and brands that are operating at the sort of, you know, the bleeding edge of their abilities. We then have opened up a whole new customer stream. We're selling to a lot of people that buy modern luxury vehicles that would never buy a classic car. They're frightened of them. Yeah. So the people, the first pillar, they often either have the original car or they know the dealers, etc., and sometimes they source themselves. The second pillar, which is non-classic car buyers, we always offer a full turnkey experience. And then finally, we're working with hospitality as well. You know, what more glamorous way to arrive at a hotel or drive around a city in a classic, elevated, reliable Rolls-Royce. So this is one of our restoration rooms. So this is a good example of a classic donor vehicle. Again, in this era, cars were maybe not made from the same level of materials that we use today, and that comes from learning. When we blast the car, so you'll see here, this is a classic example of corrosion. We are leaving no stone unturned in terms of the body restoration. We do. You see here on this car here, we've already done the inner sills. This is a very classic place where you get corrosion. A nice example on the other side of this vehicle is actually, you'll see, we've taken sheet metal and we've actually added it into the rear wing here to replace all the corrosion. So on average, even to get to the end of this point, a car may have had several thousand hours of restoration. It's an exhaustive process, but it gives you, the client, peace of mind, because no matter how good you think a car is, unless you have very recently underseen the restoration, you simply don't know. And ironically, some of the trickiest restorations we've had have been on cars which on face value looks in the best condition, because beneath the very shiny paint job can be a whole malady of sins. And so that's why we strip the vehicles back and start from scratch. Every component is itemized, and we're restoring it, replacing it, or upgrading it.
Wow.
So obviously a characteristic which really demonstrates as identity of the vehicle is the paint. We do in-house paints. We have our in-house paint booth, so the cars you will see here have been painted here. To reiterate, we mix our own colours. So this car here, again, talking of rarity, this is a James Young two-door Bentley S2, and only 4 were ever made.
Wow.
So this is one of 4 that's now one of 1. This is an incredible Welding green which we mixed, and it's actually a dark green. In certain lights it appears black, and in other lights it appears green.
Do you reckon this is the best one of the 4?
No, it's you know, in terms of the condition it's now in, it's gone through a full Concours restoration. But it's also, there's a really nice story. This client, you know, always wanted a Bentley, but simply didn't want the headache of how they originally behaved. Would only have ever bought it with the peace of mind that we get from this. All the other cars they drive are electric. There are 3 cars, and they're all electric.
So what's the typical customer journey between the days they visit you and this is delivered? As you said, it takes about 18 to 24 months.
Yeah.
But do you talk to them often? Do they
Of
ask you
course,
questions?
yeah.
Do they change their minds through the spec and the colours and so on?
So firstly, we have a wait list at Lunaz. So you are, once you've got through the wait list and then you're into build, you're talking, depending on the vehicle, 18 to 24 months. Yes, every client's different, but what we're offering is a journey. And as you'll see, it's fascinating. There's so many different moments to it. So yes, we are constantly liaising with the client just to let them know how things are going, because there's lots of gateways. And some clients are very engaged, some people are very busy and they're less so, but the design process is always a very intimate moment. People know they want to get the car at a certain time, so we give them enough time to make the decisions, and then we've never had to change a car or do anything like that. You know, we keep very close with our clients and very engaged in the process. Again, some really interesting cars that we currently have at the moment. We've got, this is a convertible Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud, an original convertible one, which is just at the end of its process. In here, we'll put a beautiful battery cover on top of the battery. We wouldn't send the car out like that. This is a new project we're just starting. This is a typical donor car. So you'll see, you know, it has some patina. This is a car which is asking to be renewed. And that's what we do here. So that's literally about to start as we speak. Another donor car's recently come in. This is a beautiful 4-door completed vehicle just in for a service. You know, again, you'll see our clients are daring to actually try different things. This is you would have never thought of a specification like this originally. You know, with a beautiful Tiffany blue door card, beautiful double welt, which is a Lunaz signature style. The satellite navigation lives in here. So these are the best of both worlds, but on the pure classics, we've taken the agency to still be very authentic with the design. So it's classy, that being over the top. So, and that really is our whole sort of modus operandi. This is one of our Range Rovers. It's going through final testing. We're doing some prop testing at the moment. So this is a completed car that's just going through some final processes. Again, we're very, very meticulous with the processes that we go through in order to deliver brilliant cars. I think next I'd like you to, actually what I will show you here, so this again is another good example of a kind of typical donor car. It's amazing to think that people let the car get into this state, but these are perfect cars for us. You know, so if we can find cars like this, it's good for everyone because they're relatively affordable in a given, you know, spectrum, but you are taking cars and you're restoring them to Concours condition. And we're getting more cars on the road, classic cars on the road in this condition, because we have a typically wider customer base than would normally be the case with timeless cars. Yeah. And that's also having a positive. We're bringing more people into the market to buy these cars, which is probably lifting the value floor of them up as well.
Do you reckon you cover a younger audience than a typical specialist would do with still having the ICE drivetrain?
We definitely cover a broader audience. Okay. You know, so that can be an age, and we've got people in their 20s all the way up to people in their 90s. You know, and you know, and again, we're selling a lot of cars to women as well, or couples. The design process is very engaging, so it becomes a team sport. So no, it's a very broad church. It's democratizing classic cars, yet still being premium. So it's a really interesting paradox. But we can be all things to all people, because fundamentally we're delivering beautifully tailored Concours restored cars that have incredible performance and the reliability and the ease of use, which tarnishes people unless you're minded around buying classic cars from buying them. So it's a really nice way of equalising and elevating the whole experience and engagement.
And now for the pièce de résistance.
Yes, let me take you through.
And here we are. The very special access. Thank you again for giving us access to this part of the building.
It's a pleasure. So this is our battery build facility, and this is really at the heart of what we do. We're very proud at Lunaz to buy a high-profile module and sell, but we're also proud to actually make them here. We've got a very, very talented team. And actually, it's really interesting when I talk about the team, if you look at their background from Formula One, and that's what's really interesting about Lunaz, is this amazing merge of classic craft and engineering and technology. You're getting the best of both worlds all colliding and coming together. So in here, you see we have 3 rotisseries, and these are the rotisseries we build the battery on. So when we start to build the battery, we get the battery cells and modules in. Every single one is itemized, so we can have traceability of it. For every car, we're building a front and rear traction battery. So actually right here, we have for a particular car, the front traction battery for an Aston Martin DB6 and the rear traction battery. Paul, our head of battery build here, is just actually working on some harnessing right now. So you'll see here, we've put all the modules together. We have custom designed these batteries ourselves. So we have these fantastic build books that help our team understand how we put everything together. So you're once again reminded, when you're a Lunaz client, you're investing in this incredible level of detail and integrity. So the batteries are all built here. They're constantly tested through the process. This is all about safety and consistency. And then there's obviously a thorough final sign-off test. But what I think is really nice about this is just to remember that batteries, although you see them in a black box or in Teslas, you don't see them at all.
Yeah.
Beneath that is an incredible amount of craft and art and skill. And actually, when you see what Paul's doing here with the motherboards, with the handmade harnesses, with the bus bars, this is a very, very delicate, complex and specialist skill. And we think it's really nice for people to see what lies beneath the box.
So going back to the technology you're using pouch cells, and you managed to run them not cooled, because those have never been cooled, but you still have the CCS option on most of your vehicles.
Yes, on many of the vehicles we do AC and DC. We have a 22 kilowatt AC charging facility and a 50 kilowatt DC charging facility. And you're right, we found with these particular cells, they don't require cooling. They're that sort of durable and rugged cells that they don't. So no, we're really proud of our team. We're really proud of the processes we do in-house. And it's to reiterate, we're not buying kits.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean kits aren't good. Like, there's some really good ones out there, but we have custom engineered powertrain systems for every single platform we work on that considers the unique design of the battery. And you'll see here, you know, for the Aston Martin front, we've got the cells at the top and then we've got more at the bottom. And we're fitting the packs or the batteries into the available space. So each one is customized to the vehicle. So it's a very, very considered experience.
And going back to what you were saying earlier, typically you have an 80 to 85 kilowatt hour battery pack or packs.
Exactly. So here you've got the rear is 26.3 kilowatt hours gross energy content, and then the front is 47. So, and again, you know, all the details laid out, as you'll see, the cleanliness of this space, we take the integrity and the authenticity of what we do incredibly seriously. And that's come down to the people that have helped be the brainchild of engineering these batteries and these designs, and to those that are building them.
So when you design those battery packs and also coupling them to the drivetrain, do you typically try to bring as much power as original or try to go above? Certainly speaking about torque, for instance, for the Rolls-Royce, that would be the key point, but maybe the Aston, you may want a bit more power?
It's a really good question. So I think there's a bigger answer to that. The beauty of electrification is that it can express itself very differently on different vehicles. That's why we have 5 platforms and why most of our clients have more than one car with us. Because an electric powertrain in a Rolls-Royce can be mapped and designed to behave very differently to that in a S2 Bentley or an Aston Martin or a Jaguar. So what we're fundamentally doing is we want to take the spirit of the original car where we can. We want to enhance the performance. We want to do it in a safe and sensible way. So actually, with a lot of our cars, we could get more power out of them, but we don't. We want our clients to feel good acceleration, to feel purpose, but to feel safe. So actually, when we will work with the clients, we can map the cars in a way we can understand, like if it's a hotel, we've got more low range power. If it's for a driver who wants to stick on country roads, more mid-range power. So, you know, overall, these are high performing. Every vehicle we do is high performing in terms of the original. You know, and if you look at the amount of torque, we're getting sort of 525 pound-feet of torque in our Range Rover, over 950 in our Rolls-Royces and our Phantoms, for instance. Our Aston Martins will do 0 to 60 just over 4 seconds. You know, and so it's about striking a balance. But yes, we can get smooth, engaging, deliverable power in all of our vehicles, and it's delivered in a very considered, thoughtful way.
And going back to your customers, do they typically ask you for the longest range, or are they used to EVs in general? Is it their first EV, or are they already part of the ecosystem? Yeah.
It's a real mix. So in that respect, we have customers that, you know, like I said, we've identified with the Bentley in there, and his 2 other cars are EVs. And the reason he's engaged with us is he loves EVs, and he was anxious about having an original classic Bentley. And then some of our clients, yes, because we're tapping into luxury car buyers, haven't bought classics before, it might be their first EV, or they might have, it's quite common for our clients to maybe have a Spectre or an i7 and other luxury premium electric vehicles. So what's interesting about energy content is, for us, this isn't a race to the top in terms of coming to market with the most energy content, it's the right energy content. And what do I mean by that? Well, energy also has weight, and therefore we have to think about the original weight distribution of the vehicle. We try very hard to mirror that as much as we can. It helps maintain things like handling that we can enhance. So we're not putting the most energy in, we're putting the right energy in. And then when you combine that, you can do 22 kilowatt AC or 50 kilowatt DC. For the way our clients drive, they're very content with the mix of weight distribution, handling, available energy content, and the charging system. So obviously a big part of the batteries is how it integrates with the whole system. So of course we take software very seriously here as well. We code all our own software. We have taken tier 1 components and created our own proprietary system. So software is something that we've created ourselves. You'll see here on this motherboard here, you've got the CMU, so that's where the software goes into. We've built in a lot of fail-safes, a lot of clever mechanisms to protect the safety of the car, to ensure that there's safe operation, because we're not overlaying an electrification system into an existing car. We're recreating everything, including the wiring loops, everything, to take into account it's now an electric car. So actually the level of detail we go into in our software, a good example, for instance, we have a system built in that it can auto top up the low voltage system of the 12 volt battery with the high voltage battery. So the car, because you need the low voltage battery for the contactors to fuse, the car actually knows when the low voltage system is getting to a certain level and will top up using the high voltage system. So it's elements like that which again speak to the level of depth we've gone into in terms of the design of our cars. Some of these systems is what you're seeing on OEM cars.
Absolutely,
and that is what we're very proud of, and it's that our customers connect with, and they see our price points and they go, well, God, we're actually getting an incredible amount of ingenuity and technology in something of such an old age.
Yeah. And something we haven't mentioned is most of, if not everything, is either built in-house or very locally, from the bus bars to the leather work.
We try to use as many local suppliers as we can, and yes, bus bars are a good example. We get those relatively locally. It helps us to have, particularly when we're creating custom things, it really helps relationships. So we've got a lot of very powerful and very valued local relationships that support us with componentry for our builds.
Something we haven't mentioned is, you were saying earlier, you have several members of your staff coming from competition and Formula One and so on, and we are actually just next to the Silverstone racetrack. Is the fact you are here in Silverstone a big part of the business? Was it a key point in developing the business? Yeah,
so I think when the business was founded here, it was, this is an automotive hub. There's talent here, no doubt. Another interesting thing of being here has been also customers, because people come and they race on the track, and there's events here as well. So it's proven to be an interesting location for us in terms of both talent and it's relatively accessible. Public transport's not great, but you can drive here. But fundamentally, it was a good site. We're happy that we've been able to collate all of these elements here.
All right. You did mention the low voltage system and the wiring loom. I think that's the next step we should visit.
Yes, we can go into 12 volt room, no problem.
So this is where the magic happens.
So this is our 12 volt electrical room. So you see we've got a lot of componentry in here, and this is to support when we put the wiring looms in, etc. We connect up to all the many components. We do a lot of testing in here. We also build our own HV PDUs in here. You can see a member of our team, Emil, here is just doing some investigation on some wiring at the moment. And this again is a key part of fusing the whole car together, because what we want to do is we want the high voltage system and the rest of the car to connect. And this is a critical point. We put trackers into the vehicles as well. So again, another critical part, another skilled part, working with all the connectors, all the wiring, to really fuse the build together.
Do you manage to have standardized system for the loom
platform? Overall, I mean, we have a signature spec on all the vehicles that includes things like the reversing camera, the heated seats, the speakers, etc. When we do some extra customization, we might have to do some overlays or extensions to the loom, but we do now have a sort of fixed loom design that is the spine of the car, and then we can, people sometimes want to put a 12 volt charging connection in the boot, etc. like that, so we can do overlays to accommodate that.
How far do you go in the modernization of the interior from screens? I noticed you have hidden screens, which is fantastic.
It's a great point.
Do you have like cool seats for some market or extra AC systems?
Yeah, so so all our vehicles have reversing camera, upgraded sound system. We tend to use Audison, so subwoofers and multiple speakers, heated seats. Many of the cars have air conditioning systems and upgraded as well. Our Bentleys and Rolls-Royces take an original adaptive dampening system and build on that as well. Apple CarPlay, etc. So you are getting a lot of modern refinements that you wouldn't have got on these cars originally. They're reliable and give added comfort, and that's important for driver and passenger.
All right, Patrick, next
workshop. So this is our trim room. So of course, during the design process, we bring the trim concept to life.
That smells very good.
And you'll see here, we create a very extensive design book that talks us through all the elements of how the car's going to be trimmed. The trim happens towards the end. We do first fit, etc. through the build, but the final trim is done at the end. You'll see the Range Rover is a good example. We've completely reimagined the interior. This isn't just a retrim. We've created a completely new centre console. We've got a whole new centre console trim as well. So particularly on the Range Rover, we're really elevating the way that the interior is not only specified but designed as well. A lot of our clients still are going for leather, although we have more and more clients that are interested in biomaterials, more progressive materials. On the Range Rover, we're particularly proud of, again, creating our own signature, such as this 5-welt detail here, that really allows for extra expression and feeling. So this is a very, very tailored, very, very considered experience.
Even nicer than the brand new Range Rovers, yeah.
That's your words, not mine, but I'll take it as a compliment. But again, every facet of what we do, it's about quality, integrity, individuality. You'll see it in here. We're making custom armrests that have a little bar inside of them. We're doing sheepskin mats. Again, we are allowing clients to really express themselves in a really considered and tailored way. So when people get in the car, they go, wow, this isn't just something that you've done on an online configurator. This is really being designed. This is not specifying, it's designing. So
the owner is part of the design, of the whole experience.
Absolutely. It's akin to designing a house. And that becomes very familiar. And most of our clients have nice properties and multiple properties. So actually, it feels less like designing a car and more like designing an asset.
All right, Patrick, enough talking. Let's do some driving.
Perfect.
What do you have for us to drive
today?
So
we have a recently finished 1961 Rolls-Royce Phantom V. And it's very topical because it's the 100th anniversary of Phantom this year. It was first designed in 1925. So this is a 1961 Phantom V.
So this is the one we've seen at Goodwood Festival of Speed.
Yeah, this was launched at Goodwood, or revealed to the world at Goodwood. I've got it up here for you today. Again, you'll see just a reminder of the magnificence of luxury in this era. You'll see it's got a privacy screen. The car has performance, but it also floats as well. So it's a great car to be driven in, but it's also a great car to drive.
All right. All right. So Patrick, do customers typically drive, or are they driven in Rolls-Royce and Bentleys?
It's both. I mean, the client of this car is actually, he's driven it, but he has a driver as well. So it really is a mix. It really is a mix. Typically, this would be considered to be more of a chauffeur-driven car,
okay, yeah.
but you'll see when we get going, like the car has real performance, and it is actually, it's fascinating how we've been able to harness the originality of it, but elevate it. There we go. So we're ready to go?
Yeah. Oh.
So you'll see very smooth, very quiet.
So with you guys delivering such a high level of not only performance, electrification, but finish in general, do you work with Rolls-Royce and Bentleys? Have you been approached or doing any project together?
Yeah, so they're both aware of us, and to our knowledge, there's only sort of mutual respect, because at the end of the day, what we're doing is not sort of competing with their modern cars. If anything, it's helping to underpin the legacy.
Yes.
We don't work with any of them directly at the moment. We've done some events at Jack Barclay Bentley, which is obviously a franchised dealer, where we've shared some cars, but also done some product handovers, because they also really seem to live hand in hand. We have clients that have Spectres, so they are buying modern Rolls-Royces as well, and Phantoms, etc., but not instead of Lunaz, as well as. These are lucky people that have the means to be able to have a wide variety of vehicles for different uses. We hope that major OEMs look at us and see that we are doing very honest, very considered restorations and projects. But you'll see, so obviously you're enjoying being driven in the back, and then the car also does have
some oomph. Oh yes.
And then of course regenerative braking as well. You'll see very smooth. The acceleration and purpose is there, but it's considered.
Really adequate.
Yeah, and you'll in the car also. Right now we've got it on hard suspension. I've now put it onto softer. Can you feel how actually
it floats a bit?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've really worked hard to maintain the original feeling of the vehicle, but use technology in a tasteful way. But the car, it holds the road beautifully.
It corners fairly flat compared to what I was expecting.
Exactly.
Knowing the technology from back in the days, these were effectively almost lorry chassis with leaf springs, and you're still floating on a cloud.
And then of course you've got elements such as the privacy screen.
Oh yes, yeah. I think it's hard to understand the level of engineering and work that goes into rebuilding those masterpieces.
It all makes sense when you come in them, and that's why when our potential clients drive them, they find it irresistible, because there's a romance to this. It is, you're still driving in a car of this age. It's still registered as a car of its original age. It's just got the tasteful help of modern technology to make it more usable. And in that respect, our clients, they vote with signing contracts and say they find the combination really, really alluring. It's, and of course, a car of this age, it was tuned to be quiet.
Yes.
Rolls-Royce has spent their history trying to hide the engine, but they needed the power because of the extreme weight of the vehicles. And there's some really great quotes from, Charles and Henry liked electric. Our first ever client actually had an electric, a Columbia or Baker. People forget there were electric cars being delivered in the early 20th century.
Absolutely.
And it was the elite that liked them because they enjoyed the quietness and the lack of smell. Marketeers have been very good at making the engine a status symbol, and don't get me wrong, it's going to be an enjoyable experience to have an engine with a certain tone. But for this car, we feel, and our clients feel, that we've taken something and we have elevated it. And so Henry Royce said, if it doesn't exist, design it. Take the best and make it better. So we like to
the
think,
technology had been there back in the 20s and 30s. Every single Bentleys and Rolls-Royce would have been electric ever since.
There's a high chance of that. And there's a quote by Charles Rolls that was, electrification is perfect. They just were slightly worried about the infrastructure. I actually, after I did a speech for the RREC, a guy came up to me and told me he had a diagram of an electric motor designed by Sir Henry Royce in the early 20th century, which I have. So the writing's on the wall that they supported this style of technology.
100 years ago.
Exactly. And now we're just inputting it into the vehicle.
And putting a tribute to those guys. Yeah, making it happen.
Absolutely.
All right, Patrick, thank you very much for this test drive and experience overall. Now, where is Lunaz going? Where are you going to expand, offer new platforms? And let's also cover pricing and how long it takes to order your first Lunaz and your second Lunaz and so on.
Sure. So for us, I think we're quite unique is the breadth of the platforms we already do. And so rather than being tang rushed to do more, actually we're very comfortable with the platforms we have, the 5 platforms. They're very complementary. Most of our clients have multiple cars with us because the cars offer different experiences. So we don't have any immediate plans to do any more models. Never say never, but for us, actually brilliance comes from experience. So we now want to enjoy delivering constantly on our 5 engineered and complete and frozen platforms. And the key for us, it's about global growth. We're seeing really strong growth in the Middle East and the US. Okay. We're going to be putting a lot of focus into the US because that's where we're seeing a real engagement with clients and really value what we do. And so that's going to be our focus in the coming years, is to grow globally, but also to continue to grow globally, but to also really help the brand grow as well. At the end of the day, we're making assets, and what we can already see is people bake in the residuals based on the work we do and the brand we do. That's what makes people feel really comfortable about buying these cars, because where demand outstrips supply, and also lead times are dictated by the difficulty of the process. Second-hand and existing cars can have really good residuals because of their availability. And that comes down to having a strong brand, and that's shown by more and more brands in the wider resto modding space that demonstrate that you're creating a niche within a niche. So that's really our focus, is to keep doing excellent work, delighting our clients, delivering unique specifications. I didn't mention earlier, we never really do the same specification twice. So, we make sure the cars are all different, and that makes them sort of unique additions. So that's our real focus, is to really enjoy the fruits of our labour, the engineering we've done, and focus on delivering brilliant cars of those 5 platforms.
And going back to supply, how many vehicles do you produce each year?
Yeah, so it varies year on year, but on average we're looking at between 12 to 16 at the moment. We're just going on to our 50th build, and that should be going up as well. We are seeing really strong global growth, the US and the Middle East. In addition to UK and Europe, we're really seeing popularity for what we do, and that's helped by, as we said earlier, we appeal to 3 different verticals. Car collectors, we do a lot of shows, as you've seen at Goodwood, you'll be seeing us soon at Salon Privé and Hampton Court, Concours Elegant, Revival. We're very visible in the right places, meeting either big car collectors or people that actually want to be different. These days it's harder to be different, but you want to do it without sacrifice. And that's the feedback we get that this does. And then, of course, you'll see our hotel program continue to grow.
Going back to the price point of each vehicle, could you take us through the different?
Yeah, so we have a very transparent pricing structure. The donor car is typically bought individually. We help source it and buy on behalf of the client, because donor car values can vary a lot based on country, model, etc., etc. We then have a very transparent, complete signature price for all of our builds, which means that it's a fixed cost of restoration, etc. So we don't get the car and then come back and say we need more money. So that starts at 430,000 for the Range Rover Classic, and then goes up to 800,000 for the Rolls-Royce Phantom, and that includes taking the vehicle, studying it, stripping it, restoring it, replacing, upgrading every component, and electrifying, and tailored to the signature specification. On top of that, if you do want certain custom extras, they are extra, but you will get a beautifully delivered premium car for those prices.
All right, that's it for this very, very special episode, visiting Lunaz as an exclusive. We saw everything. I hope you appreciate, but again, that's my way to thank you for subscribing, 50,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. If you like what you saw today, let us know in the comments below. Give us thumbs up, and guys, we'll see you in the next one.